Last time on the complete Metroid Timeline, we saw the rise and fall of many ancient civilizations, the unification of the Galactic Federation, and the rise of numerous factions that would stand against it, and the mysterious plans the Chozo have set in motion. Hello, I'm the Lore Raider, and you've clicked on Part 2 of the total Metroid Timeline. I urge you to watch Part 1 if you haven't, and I ask that you like, share, and subscribe to make this effort worth my time. Without further ado, let's get into Part 2 of the complete Metroid Timeline. Upon leaving the care of the Chozo, Samus quickly finds a place within the Federation police force, and becomes a leader of a three-man team along with Kreitz, an Elfin, and Mach, a Simian, under the command of Police Chief Hardy. The trio operated in a time where the Space Pirates had yet to become a faction directly capable of battling the Federation, and instead spent their time assaulting Outer Rim planets that were unprotected. Such raids include the Massacre of Naishi, in which even the women and children were completely slaughtered, as well as a minor occupation force on Jigrad that had forced its population to create giant structures for them. Of course, in reality, this was nothing more than a massive ploy by the pirates to distract the Federation from their ultimate goals, and the Federation played right into their hands as they dispatched Samus, Kreitz, and Mach to investigate the happenings on Jigrad. Once there, the three quickly discovered the pirate operations on the planet, and how they even used children as forced labor to create their structures. The mission for the three was simply to do recon and information gathering, but just as they prepared to leave, Samus saw the pirates preparing to execute a little girl, simply for being too short, and Samus had to jump in, starting an all-out battle between the pirates, Samus, Kreitz, and Mach. The pirate captain was the last one remaining, and he backed away from Samus as he inadvertently tripped over himself and activated the device used to gauge a person's height. Samus reminds the pirate that those who are too short get dispatched, mirroring the words he spoke to the little girl he was about to kill earlier. And in her anger, she threatens to kill him, causing the pirate to beg for mercy, a phrase that triggers Samus' memories of the K2L massacre and causes her to rage even more at such an insolent phrase. It was only stopped when the girl, whom she had saved, began to cry and caused Samus to regain her composure. With the pirates dealt with, the Federation regained control of Jigrad, and the pirate squad leader was dragged back to Daiban for interrogation. Meanwhile, back on Zebes, the Metroid project was finally complete. An old bird gathered the Chozo from across the galaxy to witness the final completion of the project, informing them that it and Samus was the Chozo's last gift to the universe. But at that very moment, the Space Pirate Mothership descended on Zebes, and thus beginning the first battle for Zebes. The ship's miniature black hole reactor activates and easily manages to rip through the Chozo's planetary defenses, and really in its forces round up the Chozo, who quickly surrendered themselves and the planet to the pirates. With Zebes captured, Mother Brain gives the pirates use of the Metroid, and it is here the Metroid species is established on SR-388 as part of a breeding program, as well as being used by the pirates to fuel their war effort. It is also about this time that the Space Pirates discover Phazon mineral deposits on Talon 4, and they quickly began mining operations to experiment on the materials. It was also around this time that the pirates bring at least one Metroid to Talon 4, which will later react with the Phazon and mutate into Metroid Prime. Samus, Kreitz, Mach, and Adam manage to interrogate the pirate captain, who they name P1 due to his uncooperability. But the interrogation quickly goes south as the pirate continuously dodges the questions and turns the discussions back on his captors. Eventually, this stalling behavior is called out by Adam, and the group realizes too late that the pirate was merely stalling for time, to buy forces on Zebes time to solidify their power and finish their experiments. Samus, wanting to save her own people, requests a solo mission to save them, however is denied by Adam when she is told that a Federation fleet is on its way to destroy the pirates once and for all. Samus, on her lonesome, attempts to commandeer a ship to save Zebes, but is confronted by Adam in the hangar bay, whom she threatens to turn a blind eye lest she shoot him. Adam calmly explains that Samus has 48 hours to complete her mission, and then he calmly leaves. Samus would soon find out that she wouldn't be going alone either, as Kreitz and Mach were already aboard the ship. With no time to lose, the group makes a beeline for Zebes. Upon arriving, they find Zebes already fallen with no signs of any further resistance, that the Chozo have already long since been defeated. However, Samus's pet Rabulus, Pionchi, a sapient creature native to K2L, one of the only surviving creatures of the K2L massacre along with Samus, quickly guides the three-man team into the depths of Brinstar, and they narrowly avoid being attacked by a couple of pirate scouts who are grievously injured by the local Scream. One of those pirates being a pirate named Weevil, who would undergo a invasive and risky reconstruction after surviving the ordeal. Pionchi would lead Samus and co to Old Bird's last message, informing her that the Chozo's hopes for the Metroid had failed, and that Samus was the one last hope for the galaxy to find a true peace in space, as well as divulging the X-Parasite threats as reason for the creation of the Metroid. Samus quickly rushes to save the trapped Chozo, only motivated by Old Bird's words. However, discovers that Grey Voice is seemingly a traitor, and what's worth is working with Ridley. The mere sight of whom triggers Samus' post-traumatic stress and causes her to break down. No longer capable of resisting, with Samus disabled and Grey Voice having revealed his treason, Ridley proceeds to toy with the remaining Chozo, torturing them and testing Grey Voice's loyalty to the pirate cause. But before he could kill anyone, an explosion rocks the base and destroys the body adaptation machine, a device created to give the Bezian pirates Chozo DNA to survive on the planet. Grey Voice takes command of the situation, ordering everyone on high alert and forcing the pirate forces to scramble their defenses in case of a Federation attack. Meanwhile, Samus' mental state continued to decline as the trauma of witnessing the complete slaughter of her planet has come bubbling forth, to the point that she begs her comrades to put her out of her misery and kill her. Platinum Chest and the other Chozo gather around their favorite child and calm her and allow her to fully let out her emotions. At the same time, the pirate forces were scrambling, but quickly figured that they were being sabotaged and misdirected, and realized that Chozo and Samus were attempting to escape. However, the group would be pinned from both sides by pirates, but were saved at the last minute by Samus, having overcome her trauma and accepted her role as a protector. Upon seeing Samus ascend to accept her role, Grey Voice announced his pride in Samus' development to himself, before resolving himself to enact his final plan, as he confronted the true leader of the space pirates himself. Standing in a suit of Chozo armor, he confronted Mother Brain and began shooting her protective casing, and the two entered a dialogue. Mother Brain doubled down on her belief that only she can bring true order to the universe, while Grey Voice confronts her on her fears about organic life and her jealousy of Samus. And while they fight, Samus herself senses his resolve through her very power armor, and Platinum Chest confides in Samus that the DNA injected into her was that of Grey Voice, making him her father in a way. As the rescue mission continued, Samus could feel the pain and anguish that Grey Voice was going through, as the Chozo had developed a mental block preventing them from causing harm, and violating it caused extreme pain, and though time was running out to evacuate before the Federation fleet arrived, Samus wanted to back and reinforce Grey Voice, but reluctantly continued with her mission just as Ridley arrived to reinforce Mother Brain, and dealing mortal wounds to the Chozo even as Grey Voice confronted Ridley and inflicted his race was one of conquest and destruction, no better than common beasts. Meanwhile, Samus stood atop an unarmed Chozo vessel, acting as a gunner all on her own, but was on the brink of being overwhelmed and had no real way of dealing with the looming pirate mothership overhead. And down on the ground, a mortally wounded Grey Voice managed to limp his way outside to witness the space battle above, but was chased down by Ridley. With the last of his strength, the old Chozo aimed his weapon to the sky and shot down the pirate starfighters, saving Samus and the surviving Chozo, but in the process being killed finally by Ridley soon after. But his sacrifice wouldn't be in vain, as the Federation fleet, led by Adam Malkovich, arrived just in time to save the rescue team. After the rescue on Zebes, Samus becomes a soldier serving aboard the Federation Army Special Ops battleship V1X1V, under now General Adam Malkovich. During this time, she became familiar and friendly toward the soldiers, especially Anthony Higgs, as well as Ian Malkovich, Adam's own brother. While serving on the Federation Marines, they would take the fights directly to the pirates. At the same time, Trace, a member of the Kraken species, was exiled by tradition from his clan, and becomes a bounty hunter in order to search for a suitable planet for the Empire to invade. The Liberation War on Wotan 7 occurs, in which the bounty hunter Gore fights on and loses 94% of his body during the war, but continues hunting by using a massive mech suit to do battle in. And around this time, the extensive surgeries performed on Weevil are finished, allowing him to serve the pirate cause as a bounty hunter. An unknown catastrophe occurs on the planet Mondrius, which causes nearly all members of the Diamant race to mysteriously disappear. Spire is the only known member of the species left alive and becomes a hunter in order to figure out the fate of his people. Near the end of Samus' 3-year career with the Federation Marines, an incident occurs on the civilian shuttle known as Lusitania. The vessel's detachable drive unit began to malfunction, and Ian Malkovich was sent to try to repair the damage. However, the problem soon grew critical. With time running low, a young Samus begged Adam to let her rescue Ian, Adam's own brother, but her pleas fell on deaf ears as Adam ordered the drive unit be detached, and soon after, it exploded. Later in life, Samus would admit Adam made the right call and that she was naive. Had she tried to save Ian, the entire crew would have been in danger. Still, shortly after the incident, Samus abandoned her post and disappeared from the eyes of the Federation for several years and began her career in bounty hunting, determined to carry on the will of the Chozo in a job that gave her more freedoms. She would eventually meet Diesel, a member of the craftsman race and a good friend of Samus. The two would likely be involved in at least one job regarding a craftsman that caused an explosion on the planet Ardris, and Samus was tasked with recovering the craftsman as a part of a job from an old friend. However, despite the Federation's best efforts, the space pirates ascended to the very heights of their power during this era, reconstructing their bases, building their rings, and for the first time ever being able to openly war with the Federation. It seemed the Federation was on the back foot as the pirates even managed to recoup their losses from the destroyed flagship by replacing it with a new pirate mothership. During the war, both Kreitz and Mach were promoted to the rank of commander and had control of the armies in their sections of Federation space. During the aftermath of a pirate raid, Mach and his men discovered the remnants of a new style of pirate warfare. The entire population of our planet was drained dry, with not a single pirate casualty. At the same time, Federation space across the board had begun to destabilize, as space pirate sympathizers tried to aid the pirates in the war, and were such a problem that not even the Federation police could regain control of the sectors. Back on Daiban, a celebration is being held to commemorate Keaton, formerly a senator closely aligned with Chozo ideals, to chairman, the most powerful position in the Federation, and the soon-to-be chairman discusses the war with Adam Malkovich, as well as assistant Pionchi. Understanding that the Federation military will need to be stronger if it hopes to respond to Mother Brain's offensives. Meanwhile, below the administrative building, Samus Aran runs into a couple of members of the military academy, who were just accepted into the program, one of them being the very same girl Samus saved all those years ago, named Damara. At the ceremony, former Chairman Vogel inaugurates Keaton as the new chairman of the Federation. However, the Federation is interrupted as Samus storms toward the podium and tells Adam to throw the flowers Damara had given to Keaton, revealing the flowers had in fact been a banned biological weapon turned assassin for the space pirates. Samus demands a steep fee for the monster's destructions and proceeds to exterminate it soon after. In the year 2021 of the Cosmic Calendar, Joy Apricana is born to the planet of Liberty to Rand and Diana Apranica. Rand Apranica and Knight began their training and became rivals and friends. Rand wanted to protect Liberty from the threats of the space pirates as well as stop the endless wars caused by the Dominion. Meanwhile, Dr. Diana Apranica would leave her husband and son to pursue her career as a doctor. Around the same time, Ridley would begin the creation of his own personal super weapon, a mechanical version of himself called Mecha Ridley that would be stationed aboard his flagship. In the year 2024, the Galactic Federation Reclamation Division managed to discover SR-388, and more importantly, discovered that 80% of the life on the planet had already been snuffed out by the time they arrived. However, contact with the Reclamation Division ceases after a time, and later discovered they were killed by the Metroids. It wasn't long before Commander Mach was sent to SR-388's asteroid belt, and discovered the space pirates were involved with the Metroids on SR-388 as well, their experiments finally nearing conclusion. In a secret meeting between Chairman Keaton, Adam Malkovich, Chief Hardy, and Samus Aran, the findings of Commander Mach were shared as well as intel indicating Mother Brain was behind the development of the use of Metroids as a bioweapon. Keaton confirms that by this point the Federation has spent every available resource to wipe the pirates from space, but even so, Mother Brain still remains powerful and locked inside the fortress that was Zebes. It is then that Keaton formally requests that Samus helps them in this time of need and orders her to head to Zebes and destroy Mother Brain and the Metroids in what would be her Zero mission. Before Samus left for Zebes, she met with Adam one last time in which he granted her the missile and power bomb downloads for her suit, before reminding her that she has been very unladylike recently, and remember that she isn't always a warrior. Samus reminds him not to overstep his bounds and that she is, and always will be, a warrior. Samus lands on planet Zebes and immediately uses the elevator to reach Brinstar, where she dodges Scream and lives Elysian wildlife gone mad as she roams the planet. It wouldn't be long before Samus finds her first missile pack as well as the Long Beam, before being confronted by the Beam Beast, who traps Samus using its massive spiked body. However, Samus does make short work of it. After dispatching the beast, Samus would head for Norfair and obtain the first of the mysterious items before trekking through Brinstar and out to Kraid's lair. But in order to proceed, she would have to restore power to the lift system, requiring her to diverge from her path and head to the upper parts of Kraid's lair, where she'd restore the power, but be confronted by the Acid Worm, a creature that lived in a massive acid pit and was blocking Samus' path to escape. With the worm defeated, Samus is able to continue her trek down to the depths of Brinstar, become lost in the tangled network of passageways, and is confronted by the fake Kraid, a weaker version of the real thing, but quickly dispatches it. Once it is defeated, Mother Brain lures Samus into a battle with the real Kraid. While the two battle, Mother taunts Samus with the futility of her mission. Samus declares that she doesn't fear Kraid or anything Mother can throw at her, and demands Mother come face her herself. After defeating the monster, Samus grows exhausted and nearly collapses in the next corridor. But before she fell unconscious, she would see the ghost of Grey Voice before her, who would ask her why she was so hurt, and express his hopes that Samus wouldn't have to stoop down to the level of beasts with senseless violence. Samus expressed that she wasn't sure if her actions were right, but expressed a desire to protect all that was dear to her. At the same time, the space pirates were heading offenses across the galaxy, including on Mach's home planet of Dromerum, in which Kratos and Mach managed to fend off the pirate hordes, and a space pirate battle occurs between Adam's fleet and Ridley's fleet, which sees Adam's fleet nearly completely destroyed, and Ridley setting a course for Zebes after the death of Kraid. And back on the homeworld of the Federation, Dyban, Damara prays for Samus' safety. Back on Zebes, Samus explains what she'd been doing since Grey Void's death to the Ghost, explaining her early career as a bounty hunter, and she questions if she is as strong as she had led herself to believe, knowing that she had taken a few dirty jobs in the name of a true peace in space. Grey Voice notes that Samus had gotten taller, not even entertaining the idea that Samus had gotten weaker, and he gives her his final gift as he leads her to the various suit upgrade, or as he calls it, a sign of his parental affection. And with the final parting gift, Grey Voice announces his duty to the Chozo was complete, and the future was now in Samus' hands, and that their beliefs for a true peace in space would not fade. Now re-energized and with the support of Grey Voice behind her, Samus would push deep into the depths of Norfair, battling the enormous larva known as Kiru-Giru and eventually the adult form known as Imago, and slaying the massive insect in order to obtain the super missiles. With this, Samus would finally push deeper into lower Norfair, just as the massive space dragon and his ship arrived on Zedis. The climatic rematch had finally come between old enemies. The two exchanged words in which Ridley believed he was battling the same weak little girl, to which Samus responded with a vow to rid the galaxy of its nightmare in the form of Ridley, and with that the two commenced battle. With Ridley seemingly slain, Samus would move on to Torian, formerly the administrative heart of Zedis, now nothing more than a breeding ground for Metroids, and the final line of defense for Mother Brain. Inside, she meets the Metroids Mother had been cloning and tells them that they had gone astray from what the Chozo had intended for them, and that as the successor for the Chozo's will, Samus would take responsibility for them, and proceeded to destroy all the Metroids, taking advantage of their weakness to the cold to destroy them before finally confronting Mother Brain herself. With Mother Brain's last breath, she had set up a self-destruct sequence that would utterly destroy the entire underground fortress with a fiery explosion. Samus quickly scaled the shaft in order to escape. At the same time, Lily was rescued by the surviving pirates and loaded onto the frigate Orpheon to receive repairs. With only seconds to spare, Samus flies into space as the base explodes behind her. But her zero mission wasn't over yet, as she quickly was shut down by the space pirate starfighters and forced to crash land back on Zedis, near the pirate mothership that Ridley had rode on originally. With no power suit and no means of escape, Samus' only hope was to sneak aboard the mothership, but unbeknownst to her, the AI known as Mecha Ridley was aware of her existence. Zero Suit Samus would traverse the entirety of the spacecraft, but after being detected a number of times and narrowly avoiding a series of ambushes, she would find herself pushed further and further into the nearby Chozo ruins, until finally managing to escape her pirate pursuers, in a part of the ruins she had not visited in some time. Entering the room, she was brought back to a time when she had visited this place with Old Bird as a child, and now as a fully fledged warrior, she was ready. If the various suit was Grey Voice's last gift to Samus, then the ruined test was Old Bird's last trial for Samus. As the room spawned a ghostly apparition that would shoot lightning at Samus, with Rose holding an orb that contained a mirror image of Samus that would hurt her if it was her. However, eventually, due to her quick reaction time, Samus would complete the test and gain Old Bird's last gift. The unknown item she had picked up over the adventure earlier had finally integrated into her suit and summoned the Gravity Suit. Now at her most powerful, Samus emerged from the ruin test stronger than ever. The pirates who had terrorized her earlier now received no mercy in return from the Huntress as she made her way to the bridge of the vessel, determined to put an end to the pirate threat to Zebes once and for all. After fighting her way through the countless pirates and obtaining the power bombs, Samus would make it to the final boss room, where she encountered something unexpected. It was Mecha Ridley. The robot counterpart really had been constructed. However, it hadn't been completed and lacked legs and wings. Still, the two engaged in a desperate final battle. With Mecha Ridley destroyed, the machine set off the machine self-destruct sequence, forcing Samus to scramble back through the maze of corridors to the very front of the ship, battling through space pirates desperate to escape as well, before finally reaching the front end of the ship, where she would have a final scuffle with two space pirate elites, before entering an escape pod and fleeing the space pirate mothership just as it exploded. With Mother Brain, Kraid, and Ridley all seemingly dead, and the pirate siege on Drummeroo broken, Samus would return to Federation space with a simple message: mission complete. And that completes Part 2 of the Total Metroid Timeline. Stay tuned for Part 3, in which we will see the space pirates reeling from the defeat on Zebes, pursuing new opportunities as Samus chases their scattered armies down, as well as the rise of a new enemy. I hope you enjoyed this video. It took me the most time of any video I've ever made. The script itself is already 8 pages long, so I hope you will like, share, and subscribe and support my channel. For that, I'll see you all next time.